Hello, and welcome to another episode of Short Stories with Stefan, a reading rainbow runway roller coaster dedicated to bringing you fictional fun in the fantastic form of free internet content. Don't forget to hit the big trinity of an online entity: like, subscribe, and share. And check out the podcast too, anywhere you listen, for these stories and more. So, let's dive into today's tale, which, depending on your outlook, is either a cautionary warning or a motivating moment. Peter has only 2 days to drop 5 pounds. There's a paper with a sloppily written phrase taped to his mirror. No excuses. He has a system down and he is hell-bent on losing the necessary weight in time. He looks at the jar of peanut butter, scoops one bite into his mouth, then steps on the scale. Still 3.5 pounds away from the goal. His head feels light and his body is aching from today's practice. Drinking water helps. After he feels hydrated, though, he steps back onto the scale. He added 0.3 pounds. Lacing up his running shoes creates a mental pause. Within that pause, questions lurk like shadows waiting for the sun to move. He thinks, do I really want to do this? Will it be worth it? His final lace loop ends the thought loop, and he's locked in once more. He's halfway through his run now, on the precipice of achieving the high needed to finish it out. The music in his ears creates a soundtrack for life as he runs past cars, people walking their dogs, houses decorated for the holiday season, and the homes of old flames and friends. His lungs dance alongside his heartbeat while his feet pound the pavement like a horse with fresh hooves. He feels the sweat build all over his skin, when finally, a small jolt at the center of his body notifies him he has achieved the desired high. His body is flooded with endorphins, creating a raging river of young teenage hormones to push him into mile 10 for the day. His new high makes the long sleeve, sweatshirt, and sweatpants he is wearing light enough to be forgotten. As he bounds forward with the chemical fervor of a young body blossoming with power and drive. When he arrives home, the routine is not complete. He does not go straight to the shower. He does not step on the scale. He keeps moving, while the momentum is still there. He walks over, turns on the fireplace, and does 100 sit-ups. Finally, soaked in sweat, he falls back and feels his body's internal chemical high slowly fade back into the recesses of their host. Standing up creates slight dizziness in his head as he heads to the shower. His dad stops him on the way. You know, staying at your natural weight might be a harder class, but I believe you can do it. Peter nods like teenagers do when they disagree but will not do so out loud to save energy. Thanks, Dad, but he's still there. I know, and you're working so hard, but you know, sometimes you gotta bet on you. I am, Dad, at the next weight down. He smiles and gives Peter a reassuring nod as they pass. Peter's dad knows what a lot of adults know when it comes to speaking certain truths to the youth. The truth, regardless of potency, often falls on deaf ears because an auditory filter is designed to protect the autonomy which grows in youth, cultivates individuality, and creates distance from those who previously gave them their identity. After dinner, he weighs himself again, still 2 pounds over the goal. He goes for another run before bed. Finally, the tournament arrives. At weigh-ins, he's a pound under his goal weight, and thus gets to enjoy a hefty breakfast burrito to celebrate. His mind is sharp, his body is drained, and he wrestles on sheer will. He loses his second match, wins the next 2, and takes 3rd overall. Looking down at the bronze hanging around his neck plants a new thought in the form of a question. He thinks to himself, am I even good enough to care this much? In one swift moment of doubt, all the weight feels back on his bones, heavier than before, primarily around his heart. He steps down from the podium and goes home. The next morning, the questions of doubt will return, and he will have to wrestle with them again and again and again. Have you ever played in a sport that had weight classes? What was it like? Do you feel like you had to work extra hard to cut or extra hard to gain? Go ahead and share your stories down below in the comments section, and I might share it up above in the story section. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time on Short Stories with Stefan.